The glory that is the console league. Hello and welcome to another fantastic Monday. My name's Tom Battinger, and I will enter you into the world of console today. We've got a fantastic amount of games on the docket, but first, let's take a look at what all our teams are playing for. As we get deeper and deeper into the season, it's important to keep that goal in mind, and it's all about HRX. So phase 2, that's what we're in right now. Everybody's doing all that, but placement week, that's where our minor league, that's where our console league and our minor league teams are going to have their ears perk up. You can see console 1 and console 2. That's going to be the best of our world down here. And then, of course, those teams will have a chance to play into the SMITE World Championship. That's where we're going to see the best of the best of the best, sir. 8 teams, a single elimination, and the console squads could be one of those. Now, we've got North America, we've got Europe, we've got PlayStation, we've got Xbox. We got to start somewhere. Let's take a look at the sticks. PlayStation 4 in Europe is what we're taking a look at here. Arial Arise. Not only are they first on our schedule, but they're first in the league. They're going to be playing up against Mavericks, who have not been so successful. Now, due to some schedule conflicts, we're actually going to be airing all of these games. So we've got Arial Arise and Mavericks, and we're going to take a look at Out Cold versus VGS, and then we'll move on to Xbox. Let's take a look at what that scene looks like as well. Still on the European side of things, but it's all about Xbox, baby. This is going to be Dabo's Disciples, the number 2 team, versus Hive Central. Probably a predictable outcome there, but it's all about the Bees trying to figure out their business and jump up from 1-8 to a potential 2-8. That's going to be PS4 in EU and Xbox in EU. Later on, we've got one match in North America. But Europe has been a hotbed of emotion and a hotbed of action as well. Let's take a look at what happened last week before we get into the action.
Previously on the SMITE Console League.
It is SMITE Console League time. My name is Finch. I'm joined by Anatoly, Alexeyanok here on the desk. And as always, we're starting off with PS4 EU, specifically Arial Arise, up against VGS Gods.
Slower than game number 1, but at the end of the day, they get the job done.
Maybe like the lead, but it wasn't faster in the game.
Oh, that's true,
yeah, it was
actually.
26-26.
That's right, yeah. 23 minutes there. That just goes to show that you can't give up anything to Arial Arise. And with that victory now, there's still a little bit of contention between Arial and also Outcold Gaming.
We're going to get to see the Jellyfish up against Dobbo's today. How have these two teams been doing, right?
I mean, Dabo's Disciples had a good start to the year, not necessarily phase 2, but a good start to the year. We were saying, oh man, this region might finally be competitive up against Team Rival.
Yeah.
And it's proven to not be super competitive up against Team Rival.
And with that, Osiris, Thor, and I believe Susano, all top of the player damage for the team of Dobbo's at the tail end of that 30-minute game all in all, and this is a little look back at exactly what went on.
If you came to this set expecting a stomp, I doubt that's what we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a stomp at all because both of these teams are, I'd say, evenly matched despite a slightly different points in the standings. And despite losing game number 1, they go on to win 2 consecutive once Nemesis. We're never counting themselves out.
It really did not feel like it, and that game 3 was a really important bounce-back game, I would say, for Nemesis. It was the best they looked in the entirety of that set.
These two teams, how have they been doing in the standings?
Look, Blanche Fan Club is definitely the second best team in North America.
Okay.
Xbox, but it's a wide gap between the top-end hype unit and the second, third, and fourth.
Blanche Fan Club will succeed here today with their taunt spam at the tail end, 8-14. Thanks very much, gentlemen.
Nicely played in game 2. I mean, Delny has another good game. Keegs plays great on the Chiron, got 6 kills that squad. I mean, just a good overall performance from Blanche Fan Club. Barring a collapse, hype unit will be here. Rival clinch today with their win in the European Xbox region, so we expect hype unit and Rival. I mean, no surprise to see them come into LAN.
Well, that's your refresher on last week, but you all should be looking forward to this week. We're in PS4 EU. My name is Finch, and I'm happy to have you here with me. We're going to be looking at specifically Arial Arise here playing this matchup, the top end of the PS4 EU right now, so I expect him to look pretty strong. To help me break all of that down, I got Ryan Aggro Bailey right here next to me, and it's MV3 who stand across the way from him.
Look, this is a big game for Arial Arise. Only a couple weeks left until that clinching scenarios. You got to make it towards placement week. Arial Arise up top right now, but you know Out Cold still has a lot left in the bank. And I'm excited that we get to see both ends of PS4 EU today, because that matchup up against VGS Gods for Out Cold Gaming is very, very important. This is one of the closest regions we have, and so this is going to be really, really critical.
This is huge, and it might be a bit of a surprise that Arial Arise are in the top of the standings because of how good Out Cold looked last phase. But they've been through some changes. They had to move around Just Lion, and Out Cold team not as strong as they were. And I do think it's not just a vacuum. Arial Arise have improved tremendously. I've said it for a long time that Sarpei and Ali are a big combo, those two on that team, but they've gotten some really strong play from around them. Kana's been consistent for them as well in that solo lane. I expect, honestly, for Arial Arise to actually take this one pretty easily. I think that they need to hope that they do at the very least.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Arial Arise, just by the eye test right now, is clearly the best team in this region, but it's got to be a consistent thing. It can't just be, you know, oh, we beat up on the lower end teams, then when it's time to play up against Out Cold, then we aren't quite as strong. I think that's going to be critical for them.
We know what's going to help a lot is having access to Persephone, first picked overall by Arial Arise. Not too shabby at all. Set to this point, not picked or banned. Also very surprising. Makes some sense, though, that Isis, Thor, and Thoth were removed. But Arial Arise get Persephone and Amaterasu. Ryan, I don't know if there's any tier 2ing left for you to do. Please do your best, though.
Yeah, MV3 done goofed. Is my official chair 2
This is a full month ago
stance.
Picks and bans that they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ullr is a priority pick in PS4U. It seems a lot of players really like this selection and are able to dominate with it, but that's Persephone and Amaterasu on the other side. That is tough stuff, man. I don't know. MV3, they have a good amount of crowd control, and they're going to need every single bit of it if they want to lock down this draft from Arial Arise.
And if you are going to take, you know, a Geb into a matchup, Amaterasu one doesn't feel too bad. He can Geb shield to try and either cleanse the stone on the back end or prevent some of the damage. There are some tools that he can have to help out, and this Pele plus Ullr combination gives them a good deal of early presence. And right now, that's looking like the only saving grace I can nail down for MV3 is that maybe those two picks can run over Arial in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, the mid 3v3 is pretty strong. Hachiman, Naja round out the draft for Arial Arise, so very physical heavy, but still not too much of a concern. You've got Prot Shred for the Naja, so that's going to help you do a little bit more damage. MV3's draft isn't bad.
No.
It's really just that Persephone and Amaterasu are, as characters, better than the entirety of MV3's draft on their own.
Yes, I think if you get that same draft but banned properly, they're feeling good. As now Arial Arise and MV3, you're sticking with us this time. We will be the ones casting the game. Finch and Ryan, Aggro, Bailey, as they start to move into things, so we'll be able to see exactly how this works. Ohai's Beast is going to take the Zhongqi over into the long lane up against the Persephone for distortion. It's Ali with the Hachiman mid for some pressure there, but Pulse is moving up to try and contest this speed buff. Not able to strip it away, but has done a good job slowing down this early start for MV3.
So it's Persephone long lane, which I do think is very, very potent. I think that you can basically put this character anywhere right now and have a good amount of success. I kind of like the idea of putting it along a little bit more. It's got great solo potential because of how aggressive you can be on a character.
Oh, this could be trouble there for Pulsa. Speed buff on Jox, plus he's Pele. Hard to get much faster than this. Sarpei, though, comes in and provides the shell, and that's enough for Pulsa to make the disengage. Kana on his way to this too, and they might have suddenly baited MV3 into a tough spot. Ozil quite low on the left-hand side, and that's who they fixate in on, and I don't think we see any help coming from the wings. Damage coming through slow. Jox trying to find his way back in, but Jose now low. There's the consuming bellow, which puts out some good damage.
Now Jox is going to be the first blood. Sarpei gets it. That dings him level 2.
Wow.
And sets up Pulsa for the second blood. Bad pathing there by Hoseal as Ollie takes a good amount of damage in mid, but the bladed arrow misses from Rayo mid. This is the guy for MV3. When MV3 looks like they're at their best, it's because Rayo mid is dominating, usually on something very aggressive like the Ullr, so this is what I like to see.
He's jumping in, but there is a minion wave here for Ollie to try and do some work with, but he's going to go right towards Kuroneko, who's waiting in the jungle. Slowed was actually good to keep him from catching up to Ollie any sooner, and Pulsa helped his mid laner out a good bit there by allowing him to reposition. But Ryan, these early game fights, like what we saw in the jungle a minute ago, those are so hard to navigate, I feel like, and in the moment to decide who's getting a more favorable trade and when we should commit. And is it just the pathing that went wrong there for MV3, or talking about should they even take that fight?
Yeah, the fight itself isn't great. I mean, Jox has speed buff Pele, sure, but at the end of the day, Pulsa is Naja, who's going to be able to slow you down, speed himself up, and has the upgraded shell at level 1, so it's really hard to get that kill and chase it out. And Hoseal's rotating in as a level 1 Jorm, doesn't even have the spit for the slow, instead has the 2. And then Hoseo kind of peels back towards Fire Giant side when Karenko is coming in to give him a Geb shield, and then can't really help him because he passed the wrong way. MV3, it's not the worst fight, it's not the best fight, but then they made some mistakes once they had already decided that they were fighting that could have been remedied, I think.
And that ends up hurting MV3. We talked about how their best win condition very likely is to establish some early pressure around this Ula, around this Pele, and not let Arial Arise farm up as Distortion starting to get the better here of Ohai's Beast in left lane. And MV3 getting that early pressure now feels much less likely. 1-0-1 for Pulsa on this Naja. He's off to a really good start. Sarpei 1-0-1, a little bit ahead now of Jox. And 2 assists for Kana and a death for Jose. I mean, that could really end up hurting MV3.
Sarpei's here to try and invade blue, and Kana only level 4, as is Sarpei, so no ultimates available for this engagement, but it looks like Sarpei got the blue.
Overhand smash with enough, and now Dazzling Offensive. If you were wondering just how much damage it does at level 5, there's your answer. Sarpei takes down the Jormungandr, and Arial Arise have 3 on the board.
It's roughly like 350 plus 150% scaling, and that's good, you know. By the way, it turns out. Getting the blue buff is what breaks the back there of MV3 because it dings Kana over to level 5. Perfect timing. Jox escapes, but just barely, and a Cosmic Purification beats to do it.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised they chose Jose there as Pulsa in some trouble in the middle lane. He's on Naja, mobility limited, but has been able to buy some time. But there's the bladed arrow from Rayo mid. Pulsa goes down, but Sarpei has the 3-no evil, but Jox is on his way.
Out of mana entirely. Sarpei's not going to be able to jump, but Jox just not enough damage. Ollie putting in some good numbers just with auto attacks alone. Another set of beads down now as look, that ultimate from Distortion was coming from base. He tried to fire that off and affect that fight in the mid lane and nearly got there.
That's a difficult one to line up if you're that far back to try and hit, but the limit is your skill really only in that spot because it'll just keep going until it hits something and not quite able to find that last bit of a narrow path. That's a very difficult shot. I don't mean to say that he failed a skill check there, but what I do mean to say is that ult will just keep going.
Forever until it hits something, either you or a wall. Those are the only 2 things. Distortion takes big damage. Beast going aggressive.
Distortion has no ult for this one. He used it trying to help out in mid, and Beast willing to commit to the dive, but Aegis has baited Beast here now. He turns it around, but Distortion has enough seeds. Maybe he can find a return kill with this Bone Rush if he has it. Flourish gets him in closer, and he is able to find the trade. It's so difficult to beat out of Persephone.
And Persephone's going to be able to respawn a little bit faster even because that timer starts right away, I do believe. So you get the kill, and you keep them off the map a little bit longer. Good aggressiveness by Distortion. The big thing about playing Persephone is she's super difficult to wrap your mind around right away. Her 2 in particular is hard to get a grasp on how I want to use this consistently. Using Flourish aggressively is the best thing to do when you have an opportunity to get kills. It's the only way you're going to get kills a lot of the time. And Distortion there probably a little bit, too far forward in trying to use that aggressively. But as the Harvest gets maxed, that's going to start doing so much damage it won't matter.
Zay yet again in trouble. He's had 2 deaths already. Will make it into the ultimate this time, but only just. And he'll have to make a retreat. Still has teleport, so he can make it back to lane, no problem. One thing in the Distortion Ohai's Beast trade, though, Beast does not use his beads in that matchup, but Distortion does use Aegis. Perhaps he'll be slightly more disadvantaged the next time they fight.
Just a little bit too early on the Aegis there for Distortion. Thought he had the cooldown timer on Exorcism, but was off by about 2 seconds, and that's the duration of your Aegis, so ends up paying for it. Would have been a nice play. Beast certainly committing to it. At some point, you just got to take the win trade, I think, and not dive that tower.
Nice. Beast has set up now for Distortion to be in a whole heap of trouble. Here's the ultimate out from him. That should lock down Beast and Jox towards him, but CC immunity allows him to keep up the chase. Not really much chance Distortion makes it out unless Ollie turns it around with the mounted archery and the damage for the kill.
Yo, that was actually sick by Ollie. That was a perfect auto cancel with Eagle Eye, I believe. Does Ollie have a point in Eagle Eye at this point? Some Hachimons won't have a point in their 1. He does not. Okay, I thought it was an Eagle Eye auto cancel, which is really the only reason to be leveling your 1 at this point in the game as Hachimon, is if you can auto cancel the 1, you auto really quickly, and that can work for you. But Ollie just on the mark. You can sneak an extra auto attack off as you're jumping off the horse with Hachimon by making sure you're autoing as you left click. It's kind of weird timing, but as you practice the character, you'll kind of get it. And so he gets 2 auto attacks off at basically the same time, using his 2 to auto cancel. That was mechanically difficult play. That was nice.
And it was just well timed as well. Distortion was not going to make it out of there on his own as Jose forced to yet another defensive ultimate, but this is all around the blue buff. Sarpei has committed the Fear No Evil, but the Gep Shield already comes out from Kuroneko, and Jose comes back in with that last charge of his ultimate. A bit bold, but he is able to reposition Rayo mid here as well with the Bladed Arrow, but Kuroneko slows everything down with the Cataclysm.
Pulls it with a nice sash on the stealth Hoseal, but still not enough.
Oh, they lost the buff too.
To get him as Distortion finds the solo kill over in the long lane. Beast got ulted yet again and didn't use the purification beats.
Did not save him this time. Distortion didn't have to use Vegas either, so a nice easy kill for them. But now Arial Arise winning on 2 sides of the map. A solo kill for Distortion, blue buff invade, and pressure has been non-stop onto Jose. And he, I feel like, has been the focus. I mean, they had a chance with that first dazzling offensive to kind of pick whether they wanted Jose or Jock, and they picked Jose. They've been deciding to steal this blue buff time and time again, and it's really limited this Jormungandr's effectiveness.
I agree. It's just a tough pick to get away with at times. Is Rayo playing aggressively. Ollie not going to let him off the hook for it.
And Rayo mid now stuck in the middle of the fight, able to leap over the wall, though it looks like it did cost him his beads. Even with the Geb shield there was more CC that needed to be cleansed. But they make it out of there largely unscathed. But you were saying that sometimes Jormungandr can get a bit punished, I suppose.
And Ama is a great pick to do it. I mean, Jorm is an immobile pick. It's hard to get away from everything. Your player model is just huge. And I think that's a part of SMITE in general, but certainly this character that, wow, gets underlooked.
That's an all-in commit there from Khan underneath the tower, while Jose did not have the ultimate. That was the timing, maybe, that he was trying to catch. And Sarpei is here as well. No Fear No Evil available, and Jose able to make it out into his ultimate just barely. But this has been relentless pressure.
It's a little bit early for a blue buff as Sarpei doesn't have Blink, but now has Fear No Evil, and that'll catch Jose. Just waiting so that he burned his own ultimate. That's very smart.
Wow, Beast is dead too over on the left-hand side yet again as Distortion comes out the better with the ultimate. And you've said it before, if someone wants you dead in the backline, usually they can do it if they're willing to commit, and they have done that to Jose here this game. It's been a hefty commitment.
Normally that's not as true for the frontliners, but Jose has not had that luxury. This is what Ama does, man. I mean, she doesn't have nearly as bad of an early game as she used to. That was the weakness. Now, I won't call it a strength, but it's certainly not a big deficit for the character. And her late game is as good as it's ever been. It's a difficult character to fight against at just about every point in the game, and it transitions really, really well into the team fighting stage. So it's not like, okay, we can kind of withstand this storm in lane and then get to the team fights and really handle this. It's really the opposite. It's, hey, we need to make sure that Kana isn't getting too big too early, because once we get into team fights, I don't know who's going to kill him.
And I do mean to harp on picks and bans here. I mean, it's been Kana and Distortion that have been the real problems. I don't want to take away from Sarpei's play. It's been excellent, but it certainly doesn't hurt that you're rotating into a fight with an Amaterasu or into a fight with a Persephone so far in terms of your output.
Beast is dead again.
What's he supposed to do?
Not walk up into the plants for sure. Clearly not super comfortable in this matchup. It's Distortion.
Oh, the turnaround's here.
Oh no. I mean, that one you gotta get. Definitely misplayed on that one. He might get jocks for it.
He does.
He will. But that one should have been Distortion's every day of the week. He definitely made a couple mistakes there.
Trying to get in range to at least get some more damage off on Beast, but it is enough to force him back towards Pulsa. Sarpei is here, as is Ollie. I think Beast is not very long for this world. The Windfire Wheel is committed for style quartz more than anything, but no, Beast is still alive, and it's Pulsa who's in some trouble. The heal's not enough to keep him alive, and Beast finds a way to turn that one around.
Ollie dashing into the tier 1 tower, and there's a whole minion wave behind it, but luckily for him, no rotation coming because Jose and Rayo mid are shoving down mid tier 1.
Kana's gonna have to be the one that tries to slow that one down. So Kuroneko low, but is far beyond the tier 1 tower at this point. Should be safe. Kana does have some, at least threat potential to force Jose to use the ultimate, but that's about it here on this right-hand side. But yeah, I don't know, man. A bit of disconnect, I would say, from Distortion and Ohai's Beast in that last fight.
I mean, Distortion has him dead to rights in that spot. Has Flourish ready, unless he didn't have a Harvest Plant. But that seems kind of unlikely to me. I mean, there's so many charges of that ability. To not be able to have one after the flourish would be very, very surprising. I really would be surprised if that were the case. It must have just missed it, And then at that point, you're all in committed. You're kind of just walking at the Zhang Kui. Kind of got to let him off the hook in that spot and start backing up because he has Bancroft's talent as well. So him being 5% HP means that he's got an awful lot of power.
Gold Fury now being started up by Arial Arise. They've got it down quite low. Beast comes in to try and stop it, but Arial Arise do indeed secure the objective. There's the ult from Distortion as well, and Ohai's Beast is just stuck in the middle of it. No one breaking the cage, and that means Ollie cleans up the kill with no problem. Kuroneko finds a 3-man stun, starts looking for the escape, and I think he's been able to roll out enough. Sarpei couldn't get close enough with that Fear No Evil.
Everyone makes a hard left when Kana shows up. Kuroneko, no way he survives this. Kana finds his first kill, but Pulsa's unnecessary sash costs him a death.
He ends up dying to both Jose and the damage from Rayo mid. They teamed up to get at least one return, but 2 for 1 when it's your support and you got the Gold Fury Arial Arise. Perhaps a bit unnecessary, but certainly not worth.
Certainly, if you would go in with those terms that, hey, we get the Gold Fury, we lose Pulsa, sure.
You would have assumed it was a much more necessary death.
Exactly. Unfortunately, not really the case, but regardless, you get what you came for in that instance.
And Arial Arise have been playing with this lead so effectively here lately, and it's been spreading the map. They've made Jose virtually a non-factor here on this Jormungandr. Beast is struggling just to stay alive in lane up against Distortion. And Rayo mid, he's had a couple of good fights, I suppose. These 2 picks really have come more off low-out targets than anything. But I thought they'd be playing way more around this 3v3, but Arial Arise have stretched the map out to these side lanes.
Exactly right. I mean, Arial Arise hasn't let MV3 play around Rayo mid in that lane because they've been taking so many fights on the side lanes that Rayo needs to be rotating. And Ollie has been really, really active in this game on this Hachiman. I think he's played really, really well in keeping the fights going around him, but always in these side lanes or in the jungle, never around where this Uller for MV3 is going to be at its strongest.
They are right back into this middle part. It's about a 5,000 gold lead for Arial Arise, which is still pretty tough to fight into here at this point.
Classic Rayo mid, man. The blink Uller mid. We've seen him go this a lot. It's usually when he's really far ahead. Not the case here in this one, so I can't imagine that Arial Arise is going to let him get off the hook for going blink on a character with a slow leap and no CC immunity in the kit. That's it's ambitious. It can work, but it's ambitious.
Yeah, it feels almost like Rayo mid has a completely different read on how this game has gone than what I've had here as Jox is able to get away from Sarpei's ultimate there on the right-hand side, though it costs him his beads and the blink from Sarpei. So aggressive play, but all to set up this Pyro.
Interesting. Hydra's Lament for Jox, whereas Sarpei goes for the Transcendence. Good damage there out of Distortion's Flourish alone. This Transcendence pickup for Hunbats I think is fantastic. You really get a bunch of CDR. You're 30% now, so you got as many Fear No Evils as possible, and you're going to be hitting really hard. Feels a little bit bad to not be able to go Hydra's Lament because it synergizes so well with the kit, but that's fine. Hydra's for Jox, though, is one that's interesting. I mean, you would feel like it synergizes well. I mean, Pele has 2 charges on the 1. You can cancel those in auto attacks very well, but we just don't see it very often.
Distortion, he made some heroics a moment ago, but he might have finally bitten off more than he could chew. In comes the ultimate from Jox. Distortion Aegis buys him a moment, and the Grasp of Death does enough. The rest of the team can't make it through. Ollie turns it around for him yet again on this Hachiman.
And Kana rotates in. Rayo mid, dead to him for sure. And Distortion's not done.
Ollie goes in aggressively here as well. Distortion does finally die. That's a double kill for Jose, as somehow Beast clings to life, but Kana returns the favor. Distortion doing his damage posthumously from the grave as they force Jose to try and disengage with the ult.
Now just the tanks left for MV3. Sarpei catches up with that slow. Good shield, but Jose still in an awful lot of trouble.
Yeah, he does have Kuroneko here. Cataclysm does fine too. He's committed the shell to try and keep Jose alive as well. But if they're going to commit to this, then they should. Sarpei has just jumped in, almost died to a shockwave from Geb. I'm not sure that Arial Arise are communicating quite as well as they'd like.
Pulsa still has ult after all that. Pulsa's been super conservative with that ult. I'm pretty sure the only time we've seen it from him was underneath that tier 1 tower in left for Ohai's Beast.
Right.
Got to be using that more often, man. You're picking Naja's support because of how strong that ultimate is.
You haven't gotten quite enough out of it yet. So MV3 off a little bit of sloppy play, I'd say, from Arial Arise. Keep that fight relatively even. Could certainly have been a lot worse for them after the rotation that Kana and Ollie make, but Jose was not too far behind. And that starts with Distortion, who's been a bit carefree, I'd say, with some of his pathing.
I mean, when you get to live from the grave and do your damage anyways, then it feels a lot better, I suppose, to be aggressive. Agreed, though. Distortion does need to be concerned about that. That level lead that he had early on is really not the case anymore. The 3v3 in mid has done a lot of rotating and some farming, whereas both Beast and Distortion have done an awful lot of just fighting instead of farming. So that level lead in mid 3v3 is gone. And these solo laners are both really, really big in comparison to these long laners.
This is trouble for Distortion yet again. There's the Grasp of Death, and Jox gets the kill. And this time, Distortion didn't have enough of those pomegranate seeds to stick around. Remember, if you die as often as now happened these last couple of times, then you won't get that additional time.
Arial Arise still has a good lead. I mean, 5k is a lot. This Beast in trouble.
And Jox is looping around on the side, but Sarpe blinks in. No fear, no evil. Even still, finally it comes out, and Beast gets put into the wall. Sarpe takes the credit for it. And they're still looking for a little bit more. Jox now coming in.
Jose's got a great angle to maybe catch Sarpe, but just not fast enough. There's a great ultimate from Pulsa.
And that's something that they needed. Kana can buy a little bit of time as Rayo mid does get a nice Geb shield to keep him alive. Kana's absorbing so much damage here on the front line, but Sarpe not there. Neither is Ollie really in range. There's not enough damage to try and punish MV3 as Pulsa has committed a bit too far forward.
No ultimate for him, but healthy enough. But this CC chain is nasty. Jose needs just one more tick, maybe the spit?
He's trying to see what he can do. He had the thorns ticking there for a minute, but Jose, if he can get the consuming bellow just out of range, Pulsa has somehow managed to pull off a Houdini in his own right, but in comes Jox, and he melts immediately. Ollie had too much damage.
Ollie has to use the Aegis now, and Jose, consuming bellow, will find himself the double. He might have 3 here.
Just barely doesn't find it. Kana gets in there and saves Pulsa, and this has been so much fighting on this left-hand side of the map. And I understand Primal Fury is up, and that's what a lot of this is over. But I don't know, man. Arial Arise are not waiting until they're set to start these fights, and because of it, they're not cleaning them up.
Exactly. I mean, Distortion gets picked on this left-hand side, and then immediately Arial Arise goes aggressive to try and kill Beast. And they get him, but it costs a lot of resources, and then the whole fight continues. Pulsa's continuation by diving in between Tier 1 and Tier 2 really does bait Arial Arise into an awkward position not long after that. I feel like Arial Arise needs to have some leader step up and say, okay guys, you know, we've had our fun. It's time to close this out, because our lead isn't going to be this good forever. I mean, our experience lead is really, really critical right now, especially on the right side of the map between Kana and Sarpe, each having 2 levels on the opposition. Kana's not getting any bigger on XP, so we need to make use of the fact that he's the only level 20 as soon as possible.
Arial Arise should finally have all 5 members here for this next fight so they can make full use of that advantage. Sarpe pushing up mid, and here's the teleport from Jose, teleporting to the Tier 1 in mid as well. So they'll all be here, but there's a chance for a collapse here onto Beast. That's the ultimate from Ollie already, and he didn't get any damage out, but there's the stun. Aegis is immuning a lot of damage. Jox tries to come in to help, but the Fear No Evil is there. Beast falls first, and Jox has the ultimate there to avoid it getting hit by the overhand smash.
Blink still up for Sarpe, and you can tell he wants it. He's going to go for it.
He certainly does. Right to the back line, overhand smash. Gets it done this time. Pulsa has a good windfire wheels. He's found himself Rayo mid and brings him right back down to Distortion, who was waiting and hungry to clean up the kill. But Jose has found himself Ollie in the back line. A good silence comes out from Kana, and Jose doesn't have the damage. He does get the kill in the end, but it cost him his life.
And so much good collapse right now from Arial Arise. Kurenenko, just a foregone conclusion. That's going to be a deicide for Arial Arise as the brawl finally goes completely in their favor.
Man, what a shock that the first time Arial Arise start a fight where all 5 members are here, they clean it up nicely. It's a 5-for-1. They end up losing Ollie there, which is not ideal for this push scenario, but certainly they can take that trade.
And really a little bit sloppy overall still from Arial Arise.
Sure.
I mean, if you're going to be the top seed and I think have this much kind of hype around you now, it's going to come with, you know, a little bit more expectation, and I expect something cleaner than that from Arial Arise. Ollie cancels the ult, but going around the wall, doesn't end up getting the damage on a Beast. That means Kana needs to spend more time hitting him. That means Sarpe's ultimate needs to be a little bit later. It's just a little bit weirder because Ollie's ultimate doesn't really find a home.
It certainly hurts their damage in that last fight. They grab the Primal Fury, so they'll be able to do more damage to the rest of the map, particularly the Fire Giant here on the right-hand side, which they are now starting to move towards. 22.5 minutes in, their lead still quite relevant at about 9K up. And MV3 have got to find some kind of way in, but there's so many big control tools on the side of Arial Arise that are causing problems. The Dazzling Offensive, the Fear No Evil, obviously the Grasp of Death from Distortion as well. I mean, I agree MV3 need to find a way in, but I just don't know how they do it.
There's so much CC, it's telegraph CC that usually things like Aegis are very good against, but only one Aegis on the other side. A Thorns pickup for Jose is a little bit unconventional for a God Jormungandr that gets burned very easily. And speaking of burn,
Hold up.
there was a Fire Giant there.
That was fast. And MV3, either they did not know or they didn't think they could do anything about it, and I think they wouldn't be wrong either way, as Arial Arise stripped that one from the map quite quickly. They'll add Pyromancer to their collection, and now MV3 are in full-on defense mode. Only 2 Tier 2 towers to grab and a Tier 1 in mid, and then it's Phoenix's.
I love the fact that Pulse is able to go Shell and Blink here, and Kana's the one to pick up the usual support relic in that Frenzy. You don't get the Relic Dagger with it that Pulsa has, so that does feel a little bit bad, but you still have that available for these Phoenix Sieges now. If there's another Fire Giant, we saw how long it took them on the last one, not very at all. The Primal buff certainly helping out, but Amaterasu Prot Shred, and not Prot Shred, but exposing and causing more damage, and the damage aura on top of that makes these objectives just child's play.
Soft defense from MV3. They weren't going to commit to keeping that Tier 2 up. Jose has this Thorns on the Jormungandr, and you and I have talked about this, that sometimes on Jorm in particular, Thorns doesn't feel that great.
Yep.
I don't know how much value he's gotten out of it this game.
I don't think it's particularly good. I mean, there's just so much telegraphed damage from Arial Rise that I'm baffled that we only see one Aegis. I mean, Rayo mid goes the Blink, as I kind of highlighted earlier. That is one of his preferred playstyles, but I think it's not very good against gods like Amaterasu, Hachiman, Persephone, Hunbats. I mean, how often do you see carries get away because they're able to Aegis an overhand smash that takes 2 seconds to go off? It happens all the time. Otherwise, you just end up getting killed by it. Same can be said for Persephone ultimates. You can see that coming from a mile away at times. If you have Aegis, then that damage doesn't kill you, and you can get off that CC, or get out of the CC pretty easily in the late game. So, I don't know. I think that the lack of Aegises for both Jose and Rayo mid make it already difficult to team fight against Draft, that much better for Arial Arise.
I think so, as MV3 now have to fall all the way back for defense. Rayo mid has been trying to desperately get some farm. He pushed all the way up in right lane a moment ago, and now he's pushing up all the way in left. And he might even have a chance to threaten this Tier 2 tower before he has to back, depending on just how much time Arial Arise give him. But they've grabbed their own Tier 2 and are now starting to get into position for Phoenix Sieges, but I think he'll have time to at least get this and back up. Oh no, they've lost Kureneko already.
That is not what you're looking for. Sarpei's ultimate was used, but gotta like your chances there.
Beast in some trouble now too, and Distortion, the one that claims his life. And Pulsa has found himself a target. It has to be Rayo mid, who's gonna die with beads up. A double kill now for Distortion, and it's just Jox and Jose, that right side that got worked in the early game, left to try and keep this game alive.
Jose has to use the ultimate, and this will get him back towards the fountain, but there's still a lot of people waiting for him. Instead, they might just focus the actual objective.
I think they've almost got this. Titan down to half HP. Sarpei is quite low, but Pulsa takes care of Jock. Titan now with only a quarter left, and Ollie has fallen to a lot of their damage too. But at this point, Arial Arise should be able to get on over there and clean this one up. They take down MV3 in 26 minutes.
Yeah, it turns out that the last 2 characters alive, Amaterasu and Persephone, were also the best 2 characters on the entire map. And you shouldn't let both of them be on the same team, like ever. I don't think that I could blind pick 5 gods that would make me feel comfortable playing against Ama Persephone right now.
Like if the only condition was that they get Ama Persephone, you don't think you can pick 5 good enough gods?
And they get no other bans, nothing. I don't think I would take Isis Thor Set. I really don't.
Wow. They're good then, if that's true. That's a lot of value on the return side. But Arial Arise, man, despite, I think, not even playing at their best, we've seen them play better than that before, still clean this one up relatively easily, which just goes to show they can kick it up another notch. But I think it would help them a lot right now if they practice the way they hope to play at this placement.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, if you're going to be the top team, you shouldn't be looking at beating MV3 or Out Cold or anyone in this region, really. VGS Gods, the other team. It should be looking towards how can we fight against other top-end console teams. And then if we can beat them, how can we fight against minor league teams and low on SPL? And Arial Arise get that win, but it's got to be a little bit better if they want to be able to compete at placement week.
That's right. I mean, we are going to send 4 teams there, but they're going to fight amongst each other before they get to the actual placement week itself. So that is absolutely the bar that we're going to compare them to. It's going to be a quick break. We'll be back for Game 2 after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the SMITE Console League.
Welcome back to the SMITE Console League, where we are watching MV3 up against Arial Arise. And at least in Game 1, it certainly did look like a top seed up against a bottom seed, but that can always change. I'm here, joined by Ryan Agro Bailey. And Ryan, let's try and, I guess, break down what MV3 are going to have to change. Do you have anything that steps out to you as a nice step 1 here?
Yes, it starts in picks and bans, as it always does. I would ban the best characters, because I don't want the team that's better than me getting characters that are better than anything I could be picking at the same time. And even if we let one really good character through, we should try and get one of the other really good characters for our own team in addition to that.
Right. So, like, let's say that, man, I'm just spitballing here. They first pick Persephone, right?
Okay.
All right. So that's pretty tough already. But then you're saying that if Ama's open, I should take her.
Yes.
And then plus one other thing. Okay.
Yes.
That's
I
interesting.
Think here's the deal with Amaterasu. If she's open, you should take her.
I think that's true.
I don't care what else is in your draft. I don't care if I don't care about anything. I don't care if you're hungry for lunch still or what. Like, maybe you're not feeling good and you don't want to play Ama. I don't care, man. Pick it. It's that good.
I think you're correct about that one there, Ryan, as MV3 will be the first pick spot. So they won't be in the same situation as they were last time. They will get to decide what they would like to take. They're banning Persephone and Thor, and we talk about this all the time. From first pick, you'd really like to try and force Arial to ban Isis and Persephone and Set, or Ama if you can, but they should get Amaterasu now first overall.
But they passed on it last game. They went with the Uller pick early on. They're not going to go for it here. They take the King Arthur, and I'll bet you Kana is so happy to just go, Amaterasu, please. Lock that in for me real quick.
Plus Sean Kui.
Okay, wait, go ahead. Now I'm a little bit concerned. Okay, close one.
They were just kidding there for a little bit. They were like, you thought we weren't going to, well, we are.
Yeah, we are going to take that. Yeah, okay, that's good.
And they certainly should. The thing for MV3 that's really bothering me with this is that they do seem to think that they should do something for solo lane first overall. And if you think that, even more than before, it should be Amaterasu, at least in my mind. But maybe this is where they shall show me differently. Sarpei was on the Unbots last time. Now that's on the side of MV3, along with another Uller here for Rayo mid.
I mean, if you're picking King Arthur first overall with Ama up, you've got to have a game plan there. And it's got to be putting pressure on the solo lane early. But as I kind of highlighted earlier, Ama's not as bad in the early game as she used to be. I think it's a much more difficult task. And if you're going to pick this King Arthur, you have to get an early lead. You have to bully in lane. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to match the level of team fight that Amaterasu is going to bring later on.
Well, at the very least, they're not going to get bullied over there the way they were last time. Remember how much time Sarpei spent ganking over in right? We won't have to worry about that. But this Thanatos coming in does tell me that we might be seeing out of the jungle here from Sarpei that Boots Rush that's become very popular lately. He's one of the ones that can avoid going the Assassin's Blessing.
And it's great in order to defend early blue buffs and keep your solo laner up and healthy. I think this makes a lot of sense. I like the soul pick against the Zhong Kui in that long lane. Slow immunity on Disapparate. You can get into that Disapparate form as those demons are coming out from the ultimate. I think this is a pretty good counter pick, but I don't know. I mean, Arial Arise just looked so good last game. I think it's really hard to pick against him.
It is going to be difficult for them. I like this Ganesh coming in. That does control a lot of the team fights for them, but Poseidon as a last pick there for Arial Arise could potentially be strong. That Whirlpool, such a important piece of utility as Rayo mid tries to loop around the back. There's the early axe out from him that forces Shell from Pulsa to try and turn things back around, but in comes Sarpei on Thanatos, and Rayo mid has fallen for first blood, and minions haven't even spawned. Or yeah, they have, I suppose, but they hadn't met.
Not even close to meeting. What is Sarpei doing on that left-hand side? Not worried about speed buff at all. I think that's what may have caught Rayo mid a little bit off guard, is that angle in which Sarpei came in for the attack.
So Sarpei will be in position to grab the red buff here right away. Jock's got his own speed buff, but Sarpei is invading the order side red here right now, as is Pulsa on the other side, grabbing those back harpers, and he'll be there for blue buff, and I don't know that Jox can necessarily get this one for free. They'll meet in the jungle. Jox did successfully drop the buff, but now they're scuffling as Beast is getting ganked here earlier, but the scythe off the mark from Sarpei. Beast has the moves.
And Sarpei might just be dead here if he gets hit by one more auto, but creeps end up hopping in. Sarpei goes, yo, I'm here, by the way, because he pops a health pot right behind Beast's head. I mean, just wait on the health pot, man, or pop it in the jungle. Otherwise, I think that's another free kill for him.
Well, Pulsa should certainly be dead here. A nice use of the ring bounce to slow them, and he's just buying time now because it's very unlikely he escapes. Overhand smash does finally do it, and Pulsa will end up getting punished. But that should have been a pick for them on that left-hand side, man, and Sarpei makes a couple of mistakes on that gank attempt, and Beast is able to survive.
0 for 2 on those scythes. I mean, you hear F-Dot say it a lot. Miss your one, you better run.
Does he say that a lot?
He actually does about Thanatos, yeah. And I think it fits very nicely because the one is the death scythe, and it's a very important part of Thanatos' overall god kit.
Oh, right, and so if you were to miss it, then it's unlikely that you win from there, so you should disengage. It does make good sense. You know what? I like that one. Good work there, Tom.
Yeah. I like how we both captain holded that for Brooklyn 99 and just kind of broke it down to its base level.
What a great character.
Literally the best character on TV, I'm convinced.
Yeah, he's unrelentingly funny. I do agree. As Sarpei and Ali both have the red buffs, they were able to successfully invade those, but they weren't able, it looks like, to control that blue buff spawn. So Jose is having a better start to this game than last time, but is a better start enough to justify King Arthur over Ama? I feel like he has to do better than just tread water.
I mean, at this point in the game, King Arthur still isn't at his peak. It's really just Glad Shield that really changes the entire story and the way this character plays. So once Jose gets Glad Shield, I think we can start making that kind of evaluation.
Jock still trying to keep this pressure, and that might have actually worked. Pulse is now in trouble. A Shell comes out to buy him some time. Sarpei comes through. I think he missed the scythe again as Rayo mid gets the kill here on the Pulsa, but Sarpei makes up for past wrongs by finding a kill into Jox.
Good juke. Needs to hit the scythe. There he does, and Beast on the receiving end, but still not enough. Rayo mid cleans up his second kill. And this is exactly the way you want this game to go if you're MV3. Get Rayo mid ahead, because he is the guy for your squad, and he's the one who can really push a lead better than just about any other lane.
And this is happening because Arial Arise committed again to that red buff invade, and Jox committed heavily to be there. Kana in some trouble, though, and just barely manages to make his way out of there with that dash. But Arial Arise have committed to that red buff invade, and MV3 responded heavily.
Perfect timing by them. I mean, they've got great CC on this team, good slows in the early game. A sprint certainly looks pretty good to me by what MV3 has. Pulsa again goes for the shell. Good against double auto attackers and just as an overall health shield, but I feel like sprint so good against MV3's draft. I mean, Beast has a big slow on Stellar Burst. Kuronenko has, of course, the ultimate for Dharmic Pillars that'll really be negated if you get that sprint. Even the slow from Jox was critical there off Somersault, and that's what really allows MV3 to make that chase work.
Real mid right into that Transcendence. It is finished, and now stacking Ollie on the other side, though. As the cooldown boots finish, so he'll have quite a bit of movement speed at his disposal. And even though the Transcendence is there for Rayo, I still think there's a good chance Ollie can cause some problems just like this. Kraken gobbles him up.
Perfect CC there by the Sash from Pulsa. Rayo used the beads in that last chase, so we know that he's very vulnerable to that Kraken. Anytime Poseidon sees you in bow stance with Kraken up, that's going to be a free shot for Ollie.
And they get yet another red buff invade, but this time MV3 aren't in position to punish it like they were last time. Jock is the one that did I feel like the heavy lifting on getting them in position to get that punish last time, as Pulsa greedily goes back in to pick up the red buff on support Naja with Guardian's Blessing. Oh my goodness, he might end up paying for this one. They catch him with the dash, and he dies there. Truly unnecessary.
Jose and Sarpe, though, combine for a kill on this right-hand side. Kana's ultimate, all that's needed. Jose might not have had enough energy for Excalibur's Wrath to get him out of it. We've seen so many, especially at the pro-level play, start to get these buff invades and then just leave the buff on the ground because it's so risky to go pick it up, and Pulsa kind of learns the lesson.
Distortion is now low. He has now started, though, to recall Demons. Jox in some trouble. They're going to have to use the Dharmic Pillars as a zoning tool, as Rayo mid must only have 4 HP to speak of right now, but that's exactly what Thanatos likes to hear. Sash locks him down. He's able to close that distance, but up into the sky is Sarpe, and he gets an execute. They take 3.
And that could be another one here as Beast gets scythed and Distortion gets the final blow. Sarpe into the rhythm now. So he actually picked up the Warrior's Blessing just to give him a little bit more tankiness and some sustain by hitting the enemies. We've seen this a little bit from this Thanatos jungle. It works, man. I mean, this early game snowball effect, Thanatos is one of the characters that doesn't need Assassin's Blessing. I don't think the no Assassin's Blessing strat is good across the board, but I think there's certainly something there. You need a character who can actually stay out on the map long enough to get farm, and Thanatos and Ratatosk are probably the only two that I feel really comfortable thinking could do it, and even then, Rat doesn't seem particularly good without the Assassin's Blessing. Maybe Arachne could make it work with the webs if you leveled those, but Thanatos certainly is the premier Assassin Blessingless character.
And Warrior's Blessing, just likely the best blessing in general. So nothing wrong with adding that one over there for Thanatos, plus it obviously fits what he wants to do. Another red buff invade, though, in the cards for Arial Arise, but this time MV3 show up in greater numbers. Rayo mid, Jox, and Kuronenko all here, and that is enough to deter the aggression. Arial Arise have to fall back. But we're only 7 minutes in. There's already been 12 kills, and Arial Arise are the ones that are out in front, almost 3,000 gold. They've really run this early game, as that Kraken does get some good damage.
Not a whole lot, though. Pulsa able to find an excellent ultimate, gives him CC immunity, and sets up Kuronenko, who's now in execute range for Sarpe.
Sarpe comes back in, but gets juked. The Scythe misses too, and he does not have that last ability to cleave that can clean it up. Jox goes in aggressively with that slow, but this is Thanatos we're talking about, and Sarpe makes it out.
Just enough movement speed to survive. Definitely a couple of missed abilities in the mid lane for Arial Arise. I mean, Kraken was rough. Nothing else looked great either as Rayo. This is when he's at his best, man, when you let him play aggressively like this. Arial Arise stack mid lane, but even still MV3 are coming out on top.
Distortion, this might not be as free as you're thinking because Rayo mid's lurking nearby. Red buff stolen by MV3, and they're going to give that one to Rayo mid, who gets away scot-free over the wall. And Arial Arise still pushing in. Rayo mid wants this fight.
No boots for him. This is a bad idea. No beads either. Bad time to start backpedaling there.
Yeah, and Distortion's still alive even now. Beast finally gets in there and cleans that one up, but Pulsa on this Naja not going to be able to do enough to find any kinds of trades. So still, a lot of fights you do not have to have in fights that aren't particularly favorable from both sides here so far.
I'll clean it up and say it in a couple less words. Bad decision making, I think, is a good way to put that. Just definitely not the cleanest of play so far.
Arcana committing the ultimate. He's a bit ahead of
Nice
Jose,
ult.
but Jose had the ultimate, allows him to avoid the stun and that last bit of damage there on the tail end. Not easy to time that one as Sarpe, trying to defend his own purple buff, is boxing it out with Beast.
Scythe is up, and Beast speeds don't get him out of that damage. No ultimate for him either. And you know Sarpe's not dropping that one. Too close for Beast. Purple buff invade. Again, bad decision making.
Void Shield is there for Sarpe as his second item after the Blessing. Not bad. I don't know if that's traditionally what I think of for Thanatos is here in the jungle, but I feel like it's one that fits in with the Warrior's Blessing and with his playstyle here so far, so
Yep.
I don't hate it.
No, me neither. I think this works really well. A lot of physicals on the other side. You're going to be hitting them quite a bit. You don't need a whole lot of pen because your 2 does the job for you.
Look how much little damage Jox does here.
Yeah, just doesn't do a whole lot at all. Sarpe knows he's got him dead to rights if he hits it.
He just has to line this one up, kind of waiting on Jox to commit
He's
to
got
a
blink.
pathing. And that's what he was trying to wait on. But Sarpe gets him with the Scythe either way without the hovering death, and
no.
the Fury goes down.
Jox does not have blink. Sarpe does, as we see right there, as Rayo mid uses beads as he is real deep right now. Another sick ult from Pulsa.
Catches him, brings him right back down, and who's waiting but Ollie, who nearly gets turned around on the Uller damage with the Evolved Transcendence certainly there, but not doing himself any favors with these 5 deaths.
Man, this is the give and take of Uller mid, man. I mean, you play aggressive early, you're going to get kills for sure if you want them, but a lot of times you got to trade yourself out for it, and that's certainly been the case so far for Rayo mid on this pick. He's aggressive to a fault, and it works sometimes for sure, but then there are games like this where it just gets you behind.
Looks like might be a Transcendence coming through from Sarpe here, maybe Hydra's in this next spot.
Heartseeker is the only-
Heartseeker, yeah.
Could be. Seems early for Heartseeker. I think Transcendence is perfect. You just need CDR at this point.
Distortion has now been soloed on the left-hand side of the map. Ohai's Beast hits the shots, and easy for him to clean that one up. He could threaten this tower if it weren't for Sarpe, but he knows he's here, so Beast can have to take the boxing match inside the Disapparate form, but Sarpe, with that extra movement speed, can stick right near him, is down a little bit in levels, and I think that might be why he's rethinking this.
Bancroft's also helping Beast out quite a bit. As he's getting lower, it means these trades are getting more favorable in his direction.
So instead, Ollie will join up over on the right-hand side. No, Sarpe is still here in left, handling this. I guess as long as Distortion's down, he kind of has to be to make sure they don't lose this tower. But even still, Soul can grab them so quickly that Ohai's Beast very nearly got it anyway.
Ult coming from Sarpe just for CC immunity more than anything else. And yeah, he's going to eject from that team fight. Right call.
Yeah, see you later. I'm done with that one. I cannot handle Jox and Beast at the same time. And this is good news for MV3, because last time Beast was a non-factor. Distortion gave him the business over here on the left-hand side, so they can try and play around him better as Jox has to use the ultimate defensively to get away from Pulsa.
Pulsa, 1 sash, just netted Purification Beads and Fear No Evil. That's good for sure. We like that. Goes for another max range ult onto Rayo mid. Doesn't find it that time. Rayo a little bit too quick on the sticks.
He did not have beads, though, that time yet again, so Pulsa had the right read, just couldn't quite catch up to him as Rayo mid was able to react and leap away in time. Those beads will be back up for him, though, in 10 seconds, but with the way he's playing, they'll be on cooldown again before too long.
Exactly right. And Ollie doesn't find a window in that 160 seconds to find the Kraken. Probably can play pretty aggressively in that matchup. You have beads, and he does not, so this is exactly what you want to
There's
see.
a leap. Rayo mid is absolutely dead here, but he does at least find one turnaround kill, because for some reason it takes Arial Arise forever to clean that kill up. Sarpe takes him down.
Well, Ollie sends that Kraken into the stratosphere. I mean, he goes max range into the jungle, maybe to try and zone away Jose, but why not just get the guaranteed insta-kill onto Rayo mid, make Jose commit resources in order to kill you? I don't know if Rayo fat-fingered that or just saw Ollie alone and didn't see everyone else. I don't know.
Sarpe takes to the sky. He's forced to. This is more defensive than anything, but they have a chance to call an audible and turn things around into Jox exactly like this. Pulsa gets the kill credit. Distortion by recalling demons wants to spell the end here for Beast. Aegis buys him a moment, but Sarpe lurking right outside that timer cleans him up, and Kuroneko in trouble now too. No one coming in to help the elephant, and unfortunately they cage him.
A double kill now for Sarpe, 7-1 on this Thanatos. Last time we checked in on net worth, he was over 1,000 gold above Jox, and it's not getting a whole lot better. He is nearly 2,000 gold up on Jox by himself.
So just 2,000 of the gold lead purely comes just from that matchup. That's bad. In the jungle in particular, that's no good.
Yeah.
I mean, you need your jungler so much, especially nowadays, to be able to maintain some relevancy in terms of that gold and itemization, as Pulsa finds another big Windfire Wheels, and Jox in some trouble. He can't even get the Fear No Evil off thanks to the stun.
That was all Pulsa, man. I mean, sure, Sarpei contributes damage with that Death Scythe, but you got to chalk that one up to the Naja.
Kraken does come out this time, and Jose in a good bit of trouble. There's 4 members of Arial Arise here, so it's going to be tough to imagine he makes his way back out. But there's a nice stun from Kuroneko here with the Ohm, even the Dharmic Pillars to put in some good damage, and maybe MV3 can turn this one around.
Beast even makes the rotation all the way over from the long lane. Pulsa doesn't even take one tower shot because the creep wave was there. Great body block from Kana, make sure the slow doesn't go through. And you know he's safe.
Oh, but Sarpei is taken to the sky. There might be turnaround potential, but he rethinks it. They're all too grouped up. I don't know if he's expecting Rayo mid to be lurking in the jungle. There's the leap here from him. Silence to delay the axe.
Yep.
Axe off the mark as well. Rayo has the hail of arrows at his own feet, but he lost that trade.
Man, Sarpei just missed that cleave auto. That would have gotten the job done for sure. Sarpei still has blink. Rayo is not safe.
Yeah, Sarpei does blink over the wall indeed. And I don't know if Rayo is expecting it. He is looking towards that closest jungle path, but that scythe, maybe expecting a movement that didn't come, as Kana with the ultimate locks down Jose.
Oh, look at this. Distortion's decided to join us over here on this right-hand side because we are brawling. Sarpei around the back. Soul Reap is there, and Rayo mid goes down.
A surrender vote being considered here at this point. I think I understand where that mentality's coming from. A double now for Sarpei, and this 9-1 and 8 Thanatos, even with some errant abilities here and there, has been a nightmare for MV3.
Yeah, that one scythe that goes just a bit outside, I'd say, underneath the tier 1 tower on the
You've been watching some baseball lately? That is generous.
I sure have been. Those are the best calls, like wild pitch and just a bit outside.
Dude, the Braves are looking all right. I'm actually here for it, man.
They're doing okay. They shouldn't have lost that first game, man. I'm still a little sad about it, but it's fine. We move on. And so do Arial Arise. They don't go for that tier 2 tower. Instead, may as well head towards a better objective and a little bit better area to fight in the Pyromancer.
That's right. Instead of fighting under that tier 2 tower, they'll take this one here at the Pyromancer. Grab that one quite easily. No way Jose can come up by himself and try and slow that down. It's a 6K gold deficit for MV3 that they're trying to fight into, and if that was all it was, maybe it wouldn't be such a big deal, but 8,500 experience as well really does make things difficult here for MV3. They just haven't been able to keep up.
Another blink for Rayo mid, man. He's nothing if not consistent. Definitely loves this aggressive option. But, man. Kraken,
okay.
Death Scythe, Hovering Death, Dazzling Offensive. I'd love to be able to Aegis some of that.
No, that's what cowards would say. Instead, you pick Blink and you look to make plays. He'll have to do it from the grave this time, though, as Rayo mid dies yet again. Kuroneko will also be joining him. Kana completes the killing spree, and it's Oni Fury time. Ohai's Beast is nearby, and he's had a good game so far in this Soul, but he can't get in there in time.
No way for him to steal that one, so Arial Arise now up about 7K, can go over to Fire Giant, pull this. If Jose decides that he wants to try and make a play on this, you just peel off and you kill him. This is definitely a we pull this until someone shows up and then we murder play. You gotta watch out for Jox's ultimate. That's gonna cause the most problems.
And it's so hard to fight now that Arial Arise have grouped up, as they've got the Fire Giant down at half HP. Jose stunned by Kana, but Jox finds a huge Fear No Evil, but he's taking so much damage. Supernova doesn't do enough. Jox falls to the double kill from Ollie. Arial Arise hold on even through a big ultimate from Jox.
And Kana's not gonna let this one go. Beast's Aegis just a little bit too late. Beads are there as well, but it doesn't stop Sarpei from finding his 9th in a row.
Rayo mid goes in aggressively, does find Pulsa, but that's just a support. Sarpei gets a double kill, the scythe off the mark, but who cares? They're looking for the spoopy Kuroneko, who's trying to find a way to disengage, but I mean, it's hopeless. That's a D aside. I think 3 for Ollie just in that one fight, and they can take down the Fire Giant.
This is easy now for Arial Arise. That's exactly the right call, man. You just end up taking that fight early. And that's actually pretty smart. You use the Kraken as early as possible to put it on cooldown as early as possible.
Sure.
Just to get yourself back. I actually think that's optimal.
You don't need confirm there either, right? So just start bursting in with your best stuff as soon as possible. I agree. I love that Kraken though, man, or the dinosaur, I suppose. That's Poseidon's best skin. I know that everyone out there loves the poolside, and maybe since I've got it, I can be a little bit over it now.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I played a Poseidon game the other day, and I was like, Yeah, this skin's the best. It's definitely the best, man.
Do you think we've done a good enough job kind of putting into this conversation that we both have it? Like, do you think we've made that clear?
The Poolside skin that I own, by the way.
Yeah, also made. Just want to make sure that's clear to everybody out there.
And look, it was not a start working for high-res, get Poolside sort of deal. I had Poolside from day one.
Not me.
You messed up, huh?
I don't think I got any of the tier 5s before I started here on my own. I couldn't have done it.
What do you mean?
Well, I didn't get the Thanatos one from the first Odyssey. That was too much for me. I just couldn't make it happen. As Rayo mid in some trouble, is able to reposition, but no beads for another 8 seconds. I don't know that Sarpei is aware because of how carefully he's playing it. He goes back in, but Fear No Evil is there, and Jox has turned this one around. No, Sarpei still alive, gets the sight. He's immortal 11 in a row.
And now we got a big heal as well. Ultimate from Pulsa right on time. Another Death Scythe coming, and Ollie's the one who's going to get that kill. Sarpei decides to get the other one instead.
Yeah, turns that one into a double kill somehow. A nuts play from him and the rest of the squad as they turn that fight around. And Jose and Kuroneko stuck in no man's land in a fight that has no real hope of turning around here for them. They're just going to be giving their lives away.
Jose picks up Pulsa, but is the one that gets brought down immediately. 33 kills in 20 minutes for Arial Arise.
That is absurd.
And Sarpei has been a part of 27 of those.
This is the kind of pace we just don't see anymore from a SMITE game. I mean, this is constant fighting at times when, I don't know, man, doing some camps or killing minions in lane might not be a bad look either, as Arial Arise get 2 Phoenixes mid and left side and make it out.
Gold, who needs it? I sustain myself off the blood of my enemies.
We kill for nutrients out here. Death sustains us.
Blink pick, thank you. Yeah, you think Aegis might have been good against that very telegraphed Thanatos ult?
I think it wouldn't have hurt by any means, as the blink didn't help at all.
Well, wait. Maybe it would have hurt because then Rayo mid couldn't have returned damage. You know, during that Aegis, you can't auto-attack or use Uller abilities.
And that's all that Rayo mid has been concerned with. Now, for what it's worth, he's only been able to do 10,000 this game, as opposed to the 18K coming out from Sarpei. And Ollie, his direct opposition, who's eked out a little bit more, another 1,000. But 10 deaths does limit the amount of damage that you can do.
Just a lot of time spent dead, for sure.
Doug, you know how to get to that for us? Is that still in there?
Time spent dead?
That used to be in there,
That did used to be a
I don't know if that's still in there. They're telling me it's not anymore. It was probably 2 BM. That's fine.
Well, it's useless. What does it do? I mean...
It tells me how long they've been dead.
Yeah, what do I need that for?
Well, then you can, quantify how much time they have not spent farming as Beast falls and Kuroneko in trouble as well. Ollie gets that one. Sometimes, it can be misleading if all your deaths are early in the game.
I suppose
it's more impactful later game deaths.
I suppose that's true, but I can quantify how much time has not been spent farming. A lot, because there's 10 deaths for you.
That isn't quantify. That's the opposite of quantify.
Okay, more than everyone else.
Okay. I suppose that's true, as now the collapse coming through on Jose. That was crazy. It's all 5 turned around. A godlike performance now for Sarpei, as Rayo mid is still alive for now, but that's the Recall Demons at the Frenzy. That's all 5 members of Arial Arise on the Titan, and that's the set 2-0 to Arial Arise.
Now that is more like what I expect to see from the top seed out of this region. So we're going to clean it up mechanically a little bit. I think a couple things went awry early game, but ultimately, that is the Arial Arise that I think deserves to be the top seed in this region.
And we've been talking about how important this win is for them. I think there's still 2 games in the win column ahead of Out Cold right now, their closest competition. So if Out Cold end up dropping later on today, that's enough of a gap where I think that we could just go ahead and start talking about this team being the representatives. That's such a big win for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is week 11, right?
Yep.
So that would be clincher. So Arial Arise are now the world's biggest VGS Gods fans because they are going to be rooting for them heavy in this next set. And that's the fun part of today, is we actually get to see it happen, if that's going to be the case.
And it was Transcendence into Heartseeker for the 14-1 and 16 performance from Sarpei out of this Thanatos in the jungle, man. A monster performance there from him. I do want to give a lot of credit to Pulsa this time. I think he played really well in this Naja as well.
Agreed.
And Ohai's Beast in a losing effort, I think, turned in a pretty strong performance as well.
19k damage, compare that to Distortion's just 12k. Certainly a good performance. The solo kill over there as well.
Yeah.
But it's a team effort. You got to get everyone involved, and unfortunately, the rest of MV3 just were not up for the task.
Yeah, they were not there this time. Arial or Eyes, no big surprise to come away from this win 2-0. But I'd be surprised if the rest of the day ended up looking like that. We've got one more match coming for you from PS4 EU on the other side of this break.
INAP, powering the control room for the SMITE Console League.